things that make us unconscious. There are many things that make us unconscious. And by that I mean take us away from spirituality. Take us away from being our real self. One of the most common things, of course, is sex. We have been trained by our religions and by our society since childhood to treat sex as something dirty and shameful. And no matter how many times you think logically that sex is a normal function, that it is just a routine act, a part of the body. The thing is, that the guilt and shame associated with sex goes deep into our subconscious, and it is not so easy to remove. You can't just remove centuries of programming with a thought or being logical. But today, I want to talk about another thing that makes us unconscious. Sex is a huge topic of and in itself, and we'll come back to this in the future. Today, I'd like to talk about another thing that makes many of us unconscious. So much so that many people don't even think of it as spiritual. And that thing is money, wealth, dollars, whatever you want to call it. Many people are very spiritual in their normal life. But when it comes to money, they have either run after it or they have a contempt for it. The latter is especially true for so-called spiritual people who think money is corrupting and try to stay away from it. Whatever the case, money makes us unconscious. It takes us away from spirituality. Many people find it hard to accept that money can also be spiritual, and that rich people with lots of money, are as spiritual as the poor people. The politically correct stance is that poverty is more spiritual, and spiritual people with wealth are usually embarrassed of it, or they try to treat their spiritual life and their material life separately. People find it hard to mix their spiritual life with money, and this is where it moves away from sex. Most people, spiritual people, can accept sex as part of their spiritual life, either by sticking to one partner or by treating sex as a holy or spiritual act. Not something you do when you're drunk on Friday at 2 a.m. Most people can accept, at least theoretically, that they can have an active sex life and still be spiritual. But they can't accept that with money. Money is different. For many people, when they think of wealth, they think of evil bankers, Wall Street bankers, stealing money from ordinary folk and pension funds and giving themselves $1 million bonuses for destroying the economy. And that's true, but that's just a small part of money or wealth. Such extremes are rare, and many people who have money have earned it the hard way by working lots for it. And yet, the belief that money is evil continues. Like I said, even for people who can accept money, treat it separately from their spiritual life. They are very spiritual in their day-to-day life, but whenever they are hit by a financial problem, it's all, oh my God, I'm going to starve, I have no money. There is no God, there is no justice, the world is cruel. The reason money is so hard to bring into the spiritual life is because in our modern times, money is a very abstract concept. For the last few hundred years, we have had banknotes. And if you ever look at a banknote, it says something like, the governor of the bank promises to pay the bearer £10 on presentation of this note. Now we think that the paper note is the money, but originally people used to carry around gold coins, which were heavy, bulky, and risky to carry around. The original concept of notes was that you deposited your money with a lender and they would give you a note. And that note could be replaced for real gold coins. We have lost the gold coins, and increasingly, at least in the first world, we've also lost the notes themselves. Money is now just something stored in computers, accessed via mobile phones or credit cards, always electronically. Something that is stored at bits and bytes in a computer, and that has no real, actual existence. And that's why money looks so abstract If you had to physically store 100 gold coins in your house, you would value that money. You would keep it safe. You would spend it carefully. Now, money is just some numbers stored in a bank computer somewhere that you can read with your own computer. But still, this abstract concept has a lot of power over our lives. Remove just 1 zero from our bank balance, and we can go from comfortable holiday 2 or 3 times a year to eating bread and beans for lunch because we have to pay the rent. And that's what makes money so scary, and also gives it its power to keep us unconscious. It is the fear of the unknown, the fear that this abstract concept, these numbers on a computer screen, have so much power over us. That's what scares us. But that's also the reason we should not be scared of money. And I speak from personal experience as someone who has spent hours pulling his hair and shouting at the computer or phone because some utility company refused or didn't refund my money quick enough, until I realized that there is something bigger than me, something vastly immense that is taking care of me. And this vast thing, this thing that can create whole universes and that lives inside of us, and even now is trying to grow from within us. This thing, this being, this spirit, this God is not limited by a few extra zeros in our bank account. The fear of not having enough money is the same fear that causes us to overeat. It is the fear that we don't have enough, that we will die unless we put more money in the bank account or more calories in our mouth. It is the fear of the tiny ego when it looks at a vast, huge world that it feels is hostile to it. And the ego is not wrong. For as long as you live in the limited mind, you are limited by what you can do, and you can be destroyed by the random forces of the world. But the goal of spirituality is to realize that we are not this limited mind, that we are not this limited ego, that we are in fact something bigger, something vaster, something not so easily destroyed. The ego fears destruction, which is why it tries to make itself bigger by increasing its wealth or by increasing the amount of food it eats. But in each case, the problem is not the overeating or the running after money or the pretending that money is unspiritual. The problem is that the little ego has become separated from its source, that it doesn't realize that it is this huge, powerful thing that cannot be hurt, that cannot be damaged, and that does not need to protect itself. The fear that makes us unconscious when it comes to money arises from the fact that we give meaning to money when it has no meaning. Money is an illusion like everything else in this world. That doesn't mean it's not real. It is real, but it's as real as the trees, the grass, the cloud, and the sky. Do you cry when the tree next close to your house is cut down? Do you cry when the clouds move away from the sky? Do you cry when the weather is not nice? Money is just like that. It's a form, something created by the being, something that exists within the being, but something that has no meaning of and in itself. We give meaning to money. We decide that it is important to our life, either by running towards it or by running away from it, pretending to be spiritual. In either case, whether you're a millionaire or whether you're a starving monk who lives in the Himalayas and who thinks that he's so spiritual, in both cases, your life is run by money or the lack of it. Because if you think money is evil and you run from it, deliberately living a poor life or a hard life, then you're still giving the meaning to money, meaning it does not have or deserve. your life is still controlled by money, but in a negative way. The true spiritual thinking is to accept the illusionary, the temporary nature of money. Like everything else with form, which includes your body, your house, the nature around you, the cities, everything with form is temporary and will leave you one day. And the thing about form is that you enjoy it while you have it, and you don't think about it when you don't. If you have a beautiful body, enjoy it while it lasts. If you have wealth, enjoy it while it lasts. If you have a beautiful big house with a garden, enjoy it while it lasts. Because nothing lasts forever. That does not mean that you will one day become poor, or that you will have to suffer. It's just that one particular form that gave you enjoyment will no longer do so in the future. But that doesn't mean the form is bad or evil, like the traditional religions say. Our body is not evil. There is nothing wrong about keeping the body beautiful. Money is not bad. And there is nothing wrong about spending it if one has one. But at the same time, one must also respect the form one has. Just like you would not punish your body by filling it with drugs or alcohol, or rather too much drinking or drugs, because you know it would harm your body. In the same way, you respect money by not overspending it and by not wasting it on things you don't need. Money is a type of form that gives you immense power, that has great power in the world of illusion. And while we live in this world of illusion, while we are still bound by the laws of karma, as it were, one must follow the laws of this illusionary world, which includes respecting money. But at the same time, you're not just this body. You're something much more bigger than it. We are also pure spirit, pure being. And pure being is not affected by form or by the limitations of form. And pure being cannot be controlled or limited by form. If you think that you don't have enough money for your needs, or that you will never get enough money for your needs because you were born in a particular family, or because you don't have education, or because you're stuck in a dead-end job, then you are limiting not just yourself, but the spirit, the being that lives within you. Being, spirit or God, is not limited by form. And if you think money controls you because you don't have enough of it, or because you're scared of losing it, then you're limiting not just yourself, but the being within you as well. By pretending to be humble, oh, I don't need money, I'm so spiritual, you're actually limiting the God within you. You're actually saying, this pure existence, this pure being that lives and works through me, is limited in the world of action because my current account is overdrawn by £100. Money does not limit God. And once we go into being, we realize that form, money is just another form, and the being can create as many forms as it needs. So why doesn't it? Why doesn't our inner being create as much money, as much wealth as it needs? Why are there people starving in the world from lack of food or lack of money to buy food? And why is there so much widespread poverty in the world? There is a reason for that. Well, several reasons. The first one is, as Marianne Williamson said, it's not God that makes people starve in poor countries. It's us, from our selfishness and from our inability to help other human beings. But let's not talk about the global problem. Let's talk about you, the individual you, whoever you are, wherever you are. You probably don't have enough money or as much money as you need to live the life you want. Why don't you? And there's a reason for that. And it has nothing to do with being punished by God or karma or any such idiotic theory you may have heard. As a simple rule, the spirit or being or God, whatever you want to call it, does not or is not interested in punishing us. The part that does the punishing is our own ego. All your hells and all your heavens as well, they're both created by the ego. The ego loves the concept of heaven and hell, or even the law of karma as understood by most people, so that it can live by a few simple mental rules. Don't kill, don't shag your neighbor's wife, yeah, don't steal the lollipop from the candy store. The ego likes such simple rules because it likes a simple universe it can control. I did not have sex with my neighbor's wife, and I did not steal my lollipop from the candy store. Therefore, I must be going to heaven. That's the sort of stuff the ego likes. But it's also wrong. If there is a heaven, it is, as the Course of Miracles says, right here, right now, available in the next breath. The only hell there is is also right now and created by our own mind. The divine, our own being, our own inner self wants us to be happy. And if money will make us happy, it's happy. it's acceptable for the inner being for us to have as much money as we want. If it's sex that makes us happy, that's fine as well. And yet, none of us can ever, or in practice ever, have enough money or sex as we need. Since this topic is specifically about money, let's talk about that. Why don't we ever get as much money as we need? The first point is, we have some weird ideas about how much money we are going to need. Our desire for money comes from a place of fear. We are scared of not having enough. And so we want everything. The biggest bank balance possible, the biggest house possible, the newest car possible. But the problem is, this running after money is hiding a bigger need, a need that needs to be fulfilled, a need that is like a hole in our heart. And like I've said before, it is the reason we run after money, or overeat, or run after casual sex, that is, sex with no emotional component to it. This hole in our heart is caused by the fear of the ego, because it has separated from its source. The ego feels fear. It feels lonely and wants to fill up this loneliness with as much materialistic stuff as it can. But the problem is, it's never enough, because by buying material stuff, we are healing the symptom, not the disease. The disease, the real problem, as it were, is our separation from being and the fear that causes. All our anger, all our hatred comes from that same source. It comes from a source of fear, because the egoic mind knows it is not good enough and must one day die. Coming back to our question, why can we never have as much money as we need? Why do we say on the one hand that being or God is infinite, and that we are being, and so we too are infinite, and yet we are stuck in the world because our pay date is a week away and we cannot do anything until we are paid. How is that possible? How can the masters of the universe, which is what we are, be limited by anything as silly as money, which at the end of the day is just another form? The reason our own spirit, our being, does not give us all the money we need or fulfill our desire is because of the reason I just said. It knows that our real fear is something else, and that if it were try to cover up our fear using money or even food or sex, then we are not fixing the real problem, which will remain, or worse, move somewhere else. What does move somewhere else mean? Say you're not scared, you're scared that you don't have enough money, that you barely meet rent, that you have to work overtime every month, or you risk going overdrawn. Why doesn't just God give you a pay rise? After all, we are all a part of divine, aren't we? Is it really that hard for the universe to give you another 25 pounds a week in your conveyance charge or anything? The problem is that if the universe gives you what you want, say you get a pay rise, the deep problem still remains. And it might move from your mind to your body. That fear you have, the fear of the unknown, the fear the ego has that it will die one day without being loved, of being alone. That fear will move from the mind to the body, where it might come up in diseases, either small ones or big ones, or even accidents. Many of our accidents are self-created, not consciously but subconsciously, from fear. That fear, if it is removed from the mind, might go to the body and cause diseases, accidents, problems with the body, and even deadly diseases like AIDS or cancer. Not everyone who gets AIDS or cancer obviously suffers from fear. Many people get diseases, horrible diseases, because of the pollution and the harm we have done to our environment. And we are all responsible for the effects it is having on people with diseases like cancer. So not everybody who gets cancer got it because they suffer from fear. I want to make this clear because there's a culture of blaming the victim. You got cancer, so you must have been having negative thoughts. If you had positive thoughts, you would not get cancer. This is a load of bullshit. Sorry to say this, bullshit, which many of the so-called positive thinking, the positive thinking crowd, bully us with. While it's true that some people might get diseases from their negative thinking, others are just victims of our collective unconsciousness. We damage our environment, and as a result, some people, for whatever random reason, might get diseases from that. So not all people are responsible for their own diseases, just like not everyone is responsible for their accident. However, it is a fact, and a fact I've seen myself, that people can bring about their own misery. And that is why it is so dangerous to remove fear from the body, only to have it displaced from remove fear from the mind and put it on the body. The body is the ultimate form of materialism. You cannot go any lower than that. The mind can push its problems to the body, but the poor body is stuck with whatever garbage it has. And the body retaliates by getting sick and taking the mind out of action. Because the mind also suffers when you're sick. And that's a way of the body to get revenge on being treated so poorly. And that's the reason that our own being, or God, does not give us all the money we need or we think we need. Because, like I said, our desire for money comes from fear. And just giving you the money means the root cause is not fixed, which means the real problem will move somewhere else. Now we do need money to survive, and the universe always gives us as much as we need, and we need to have an infinite amount of faith in the universe that it will provide. And this is a good time to talk about books like The Secret and The Law of Attraction, which say that The Secret, if you heard, it's a really famous book, but not based on an original idea. The law of attraction has been talked about since forever. And it says that if you want something like a car or a bigger house, just visualize it and you will get it. That is the so-called secret, which has made the author millions of dollars. The problem with this is not that it doesn't work. Of course it works. We are a part of God. We have the mind of God, and hence we have the same powers that God has. And like our pure spirit, our being, our inner self, we can manifest or create stuff in the outer world if we need it. But there is a problem, and a big problem. If you follow the law of attraction as taught in books like The Secret, you are using your ego to create stuff you really don't need. You may be able to manifest a bigger house or a bigger car using your own powers of creation and will, but will that really make you happy? The problem with anything created by the egoic mind is that it ultimately leads to suffering, because the egoic mind does not know what it wants. It thinks that by having a bigger house or a bigger bank balance, its problems will be solved. But the problem was never the lack of money to begin with. So while it is true that we can manifest more money using the techniques taught in books which talk about the law of attraction, that more money will not make you happy. There's nothing wrong with money, as I've said before. It is a form of the divine. The divine, our own self, our being, manifests as the trees, as the clouds, as the flowers, as the land, as the rivers, as beautiful men and women, and even as money. Money is yet another form, and like any other form, it is neither good nor bad. Now, our inner self wants us to be happy, and it knows it knows that having more money is always better than having less money. It does not want us to starve. It does not want us to struggle to pay the bills. It wants us to have a comfortable life. But it also knows that we have this deep fear inside of us. And unless this fear is solved, money will not solve our problems. Joel Goldsmith, a spiritual healer based in the Christian tradition, he wrote a great book. I think it was called Spiritual Healing. I'm not sure. I'll have to check. But he said that God cannot give us anything more than we already have, because God is already giving us as much as he or she can. The light of God, the divine being, is shining full on us. It is giving us everything we need. But our own darkness, the darkness in our heart, it is blocking that light. So it's not the matter of God giving us more money or more or better health or more sex or whatever. It's a matter of us removing the darkness, the blocks of negativity that are stopping the divine's light from reaching us. If we could let this light through, it would heal the hole in our hearts. It would heal the fear that keeps us running after money or attractive people, sex, or better job or whatever. And once that fear is healed, then it doesn't matter, does it? If you want more wealth, you'll get more wealth. But more than likely, you'll be happy with what you have. And you'll always have more than you need. So how do we heal this hole in our heart? That's what meditation is about, isn't it? That's the whole purpose of spirituality, of religion. Of religion as originally started, not what it has become. That's the whole raw goal of meditation, to heal ourselves. And just saying, oh, I want the light of God, is not enough. A part of your mind, a small part of your mind, thinks that if only it was enlightened, all its problems would go away. And that is the one that wants enlightenment. but that's also the one holding you back. It's very important to understand. The part of you that wants enlightenment, that wants all these problems to go away, that wants you to become some sort of weird monk floating in the air so that you're never touched by problems again. That is the part holding you back. Just breathe and be with being. We can touch the inner divine anytime we want, just by being present or by breathing. Even the desire for enlightenment is a big danger to our spiritual progress. People often ask what meditation is. It's not sitting down with a straight back and trying not to think of your taxes. Meditation is being with a capital B, B-E-I-N-G, being, spirit, God, whatever. The longer time you spend merged with being, the more your egoic mind becomes quiet until it slowly merges into being. But that cannot happen just by thinking about it. The path must be walked. You must walk the path. You cannot fly along it. But this is a topic for a new podcast. Maybe the next one I'll record. For this one, I'd like to summarize by saying, money is not good or bad. It is not evil. It is just another form. Treat it like you would treat the trees, your loved ones, or the sky. That is, enjoy it while you have it, and don't cry when you lose it. But, and this is talking to from my inner teacher. My inner teacher would like to pass you a message. This is not me. This is my inner teacher and also your inner teacher speaking. The inner teacher says that he or she wants you to be happy. They want you to lead a very comfortable and a loving life. And they're more than happy for you to have as much money as you need. They don't care about how much you earn or how qualified you are. They are more than happy for you to have as much money as you need, only if you open your heart to them and let the love flow through. You are the one blocking their love by the hole in your heart, and that is why the inner teachers cannot help you. The inner teacher cannot help you because you're the one stopping it. So the inner teacher says, let me help you. Let me heal your heart. I know what to do. I can give you everything you want. If you want money, you can have it. I'll let you have a bigger house. The world of form does not stop me. But I do need your permission. Your wholehearted permission, not just your logical mind saying, oh yes, please, enlightenment, please. No. I need your wholehearted permission. I want you to surrender to me, to accept that there is a bigger force guiding your life, that the universe wants to help you if only you'd let it. That's the message of the inner teacher. You can have money, you can have a bigger car. Just let the inner teacher help you. And how do you do that? Very simply. Put your hand on your heart and say, "Dear inner teacher, please help me. I am willing to be healed. I accept that on my own I cannot accomplish much, that I have tried and failed, and I'm willing to try a new thing. So I ask you, inner teacher," and can I just say, you're not asking some out there God or something that sits out there. You're asking your own inner self. So you say, "I ask you, inner teacher, my own inner being, please help me. Please guide me. Please show me the way. Thank you." And I'll leave you with a deep breath. Thank you very much. And I'll leave you with your own inner teacher. Thank you. Thank you for listening. If you want a free course on how to contact your inner teacher, your own spiritual guide, the part of the divine who lives inside of you and is guiding your spiritual progress, then please go to my website, thepathtojoy.org. That is thepathtojoy.org. Thank you.